everybody. Let's get started. Robinson, you will go first. Everybody will have 3 to 5 minutes to speak, and so on. You can pass the mic to Henry as needed.
Thank you. So, Peerplays weekly meeting and on November 13th. So, Kelly, can you go to the next slide? Hello, can you go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. So the agenda is the usual various projects and development updates, followed by marketing updates and collaborations, and if any questions and answers that can be answered, that can be done at the last. And okay, first Dex, the Dex UI project to be precise. So various specific features and details are given here. So in terms of our real progress, we are trying to complete the withdrawal and deposit functionality. So other features like GPOS voting, GPOS vesting, Sun voting, and committee voting stands pretty much complete. And we are enhancing the withdrawal and deposit screens. So the withdrawal and deposit as such, they are working fine, but we're trying to enhance them based on a screen, based on the new designs which Kritika has provided, and Ivan is working on it, and he has also made some additional suggestions to make these screens better. Henry, you may want to discuss about these charts you have put here.
All right. Okay. So currently, this chart shows our progress. It includes all the scope, all the bugs, including UI issues. We are going to descope most of them. Okay. Because UI issues, when something is not scrolled, not displayed, will be addressed in the next release when we incorporate the new designs. Okay. Most of the tickets are currently fixed and they are in the review or testing state. This diagram shows only the complete one. So I think in next few days we will have very significant percentage of completion, and well, I think we are all they're almost done on this project, really. So don't look at this 55%. So most of the issues either being tested or being reviewed, and we will also descope some tickets that are not really critical, like related to UI displaying of some features.
Okay, thank you. And, okay, thanks. Just that everybody is aware on the Dex UI. So this particular Dex UI we're planning to release by the end of the month. This is not really a very good one when we compare this from the usability perspective. But this provides end-to-end functionality, like all the various functionalities from the old Peerplays GUI where it has been moved in here, and additional screens or functionality like a deposit and withdraw for Bitcoin. It's added, and Sun voting is added. Now, I'm expecting to hear a general feedback that the UI is not up to the mark. So the idea is this UI is more or less like a replacement to the CLI. So many of the operations that were only available through the CLI, we're just moving it here, and we will leave this particular user interface as it is, and we will move on to a next project, which is we'll call that as next, where we'll have a better UI, and we will use a new code base. Essentially, we will start from scratch as opposed to trying to fix the bugs in those outdated code base that we have in Dex. And for the Dex UI, that is this project, what we'll do is we'll only address critical issues. Like, for example, we are seeing a lot of issues in the Exchange screens. We'll try to fix those. and maybe any security vulnerabilities and browser support. We will only address those, and any new functionality and improvements will be done in the next. Okay, can we go to the next slide?
Before we jump to the next slide, I just want to say that we are currently doing very intensive testing of all the features and inspecting all the features to make sure that all are working fine. So I'm looking at that. Bobinson looking. We asked Kritika to have a look at from her user's perspective, and other developers are also looking and and testing this application. So I think it will be will be ready next week.
Okay.
Feature complete. Ready.
Yeah, thank you. And for the next, we have looks like we have completed all the screens which are required for the application, and for all these screens we have created the higher resolution ones, and we also have smaller resolution screens that we need to support, like handheld devices and such. So for the major chunk of features, essentially the extension completed smaller resolutions as well. But for the advanced blockchain related features like voting and GPOs vesting, the smaller screens are to be done. So we will probably do it a little later because Kulik has been working on this for a very long time, and so it's we need to also look into other things like the exchange, and we'll probably go back to this the smaller resolution a little later. And we already discussed this, the current TextUI. So we created an enhancement screen for the withdrawal, deposit, etc. And Ivan is working on it. And this will be with these enhancements we will release by the end of the month, and everything else like the market screens will look a little later. Okay, that's on Next and Dex. So Kelly, can you? Okay. Speak Network. Here we are working on uh, two things. One is the claim drop screens and the snapshot. So the claim drop screens are the better screens are or better looking screens are done by Sean, and he seems to have done till the authentication part. So that is, people will have to be authenticated with the Hive blockchain accounts. He seems to have completed till that stage. And on the snapshot, we have a basic proof of concept snapshot available, and Jamshed is extending that using account history. And yeah, Peerplays Hive mainnet demo, so that's still running fine, and there are a few more people testing. And in that context, the Speak Network guys they're creating a blog post explaining how to use our text. So that is also ongoing. Henry, you may want to pitch in on the charts.
All right. Just quick comment. Jamshid is currently doing some improvements in the snapshot because we need to take a snapshot of Hive network, to do the claim drop. And yes, so Sean is working on the screens, and he exposed to us to test and to provide our feedback. So yeah, I think we are all we are progressing well on the development, and it will be done next month. It will be completed next month.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, the next screen. Thank you. So on the Sun Hive, even though the percentage is 75, the end-to-end functionality is it's working quite fine, and we're merging all these changes to the testnet and mainnet, and hopefully we can have a release by next week to the mainnet. And I've also intimated the witnesses that there is an upcoming release. Though I have not specifically mentioned about Hive, but this has been communicated. And the pending items are enhancements to the connectivity, as well as connectivity with the Hive mainnet. We need to improve that. So that's one major item. And even though this functionality will work fine, we still have the voting to be um done. So the voting part was kind of we only have the design and some basic code. So at least 3 to 4 weeks of work is pending on the voting. That is, we need to elect the witness, elect the sun nodes for Hive. Only then they will get paid. So right now the all the operations will work fine, but the node operators will not get paid anything for the for running their nodes. So Henry, do you have any inputs?
Basically, you covered pretty much everything. So, very important component here is communication with effective communication with Hive. Evgeny delivered a PC client, and we are testing it right now. And well, yeah, as Bobison mentioned, yes, it's a feature complete. It's just improvement, and fixing some issues.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this demo is working fairly well. There are no new updates. Just that some people are trying to deposit Hive and playing with us. So that's all regarding the YAMMER testnet. Next slide, please. Okay, again, this is here we have some bug fixes and there was few chain halt issues, etc. And this is fixed, and we are trying to move this to the mainnet. We'll just skip this slide as well because there's nothing much happening. JS library. So on the JS library, we're doing two things here. One is we're adding support for the Hive Suns. So this is more or less like a wrapper around the JS operations or JS libraries functionalities, so that the UI developers or application developers can use this easily. So Baris is working on this and looks like it's progressing well. And once this is completed, we'll have Baris look into the Hive deposit and withdrawal. Again, it's more or less working fine and working as expected. We just need to make sure that with all these updates, it's working fine. And yeah, that's all. I think we'll skip this slide too. Yeah, so that's all from our end. So the major focus for the so these are the two major things happening. We are expecting to have a mainnet release next week, and we also need to test withdrawal and deposit using the Irona testnet. So Shiva is working on setting that up. And this YAMMER testnet is fairly important for us because there are multiple people trying to join that network. So if you promote it a little further, we may get more witnesses and sun operators. So far it's working well. And right now it looks like the biggest challenge we have is the exchange screens in the decks. So once this November release is done, we'll have to focus on those screens and improve it a little better. Improve it to behave a little better so that people can actually use it. So that's all from the development side. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobinson and Henry. Next up, Michael with the marketing update.
Hello, everybody. This week we had a video production lead start. He actually started on Friday last week as his first day, but really getting into things this week. His name is Kevin, and he will be taking over all the video production needs that we have at Peerplays. He has a lot of good, exciting ideas on how to enhance what we're doing and provide a more professional, polished product. I'm very excited excited about this development and what we can do with the videos that we put out, whether they be the Q&As with Jonathan or any other type of video that we do produce. Kevin is now going to be overseeing that and in charge of the production and editing. So he has, like I said, a number of ideas that he has in his head to enhance what we're doing. So I'm excited about that. I have worked with Axe this week to more or less finalize our voice guidelines. We will be presenting them to the team next week and going over them and getting feedback and have that finalized. The brand voice will basically be, as it sounds, our voice of how we are going to communicate going forward, what kind of position we're going to take, and how we want to be perceived as we're communicating. And it'll be important to stick with that and follow that so that people will know it's Peerplays that's talking and not anybody else. We are coming up with a unique style that we are going to employ to be able to communicate our messages effectively. With those messages, I began collaboration this week with Dan and Eddie with the 3Speak Network for Bobinson had mentioned they were going to be putting out information on the decks. We're going to be collaborating with them in terms of content and getting it out there at the same time and making sure that our messages are all aligned. And they've been good to work with so far. So I'm excited about being able to progress the content and being able to get that out there. Exciting news, we've started the development of peerplays.com. Abigail completed the design and the designs have all been improved internally, and it's been turned over to Victor and his team to actually develop the site. So we have a target date for that towards the end of December, before Christmas, to have that launched and live. So that is a relatively big development and going to be huge for us in terms of having an identity on the internet that's not just our socials. And finally, I am undergoing a project where I'm consolidating the history of Peerplays from the beginning. That's going to go over what we were and what we were planning, the road that we took to get to where we are right now, any issues that we encountered, any reasons why we needed to pivot a little bit, and then a look to the future. And that's going to be kind of like just a roadmap of start to finish to where we are now with a look into the future. So I'm kind of excited to put that out there as well and have something that people can point to with our evolution and how we've grown since the conception of Peerplays. And that's my marketing update.
Thank you, Michael. And on to Jonathan for the collaborations update.
Thank you. So collaborations this week, we're actually getting in touch today with Parlay Nexus. In my last update, I talked about how they were going to be a long-term type of thing, but they've actually expressed interest in Peerplays NFTs. So we had discussions about that this week, and it's looking good. Charitable Gaming, the gaming blockchain corporation, gaming benefits corporation. Sorry, I forget how to say that. So was on a couple of calls actually, relating to a pickleball project that they're interested in to work with Peerplays and our RNG. Was interested. I was introduced to a couple of others who are in the VR gaming development space, as well as somebody else who's doing something with Bitcoin in relation to NFTs, looking to do a fork, wanting to collaborate with Peerplays on that. So that'll be interesting. Also, the pickleball will be interesting. We can see that come to Peerplays. Social network, All-Star. We did some. There's been more communication on that this past week. I shared the document on that in the general channel in Rocket Chat, just so that everybody could give some feedback on it. There's been hundreds of edits since then, and it's shaping up into an interesting proposal. And infrastructure, there was a proposal brought to us regarding an Internet of Things type of project. That's progressed well. Still in talks, and actually going to have more talks on that this weekend. Another infrastructure, just to mention, is also the Speak Network. We did have mention at Hive Fest last week, just late last week, and so with that we were able to get more coverage for Peerplays. So again, one of our other collaborators, and that's what happened this past week in collaboration.
Okay, great. All right, is there any questions or answers or questions that you can give answers to? Okay, so if that is everything and nobody has any questions, we will end this weekly team meeting. Thank you everybody for joining us today.